speaking about, which is my next evolution in our awake spinal fusion protocol, which is rapid recovery spine surgery. So there is no question that we have advanced tremendously with the use of technology in the operating room. That's not the focus of this talk today. But what I'm seeing now from the work that I'm doing is as I'm trying to chase better and better outcomes from a patient perspective, I feel that a lot of we are reaching some limits in what we can do in the operating room to achieve the better outcomes. No doubts there's a place for navigation and robots, and by no means am I diminishing that. But in my goal to try to increase or better improve our patient outcomes, I'm finding out that I'm doing more and more now outside of the operating room to achieve a better outcome. And what I mean by that is this. I'm sure in India you're seeing the same thing that we're seeing here in America, which is that patients are just a lot more engaged than they used to be. They're going on Google, they're going on social media, and so they're a lot more informed about what they're looking for in terms of care, in terms of spine surgery. And one thing that I think is becoming really more and more important, and that we have to really start to pay attention to, is this whole notion of the patient experience. As we continue to advance the kind of care that we deliver, of course, it's important that we control pain and get faster discharges. But I think soon enough, the patient who's undergoing spine surgery, will ask for a better experience as well. I wrote about this 4 years ago, where I talked about how, it's so funny how you can walk into a hotel room that looks nice, you can buy a phone that looks better, but when you go into the operating room, it's still a very like plain experience. And I don't think that we've done enough to think about the experience part of things. And this is where our rapid recovery program comes into place. Because if you think about it, why is it that patients do not undergo spine surgery, even though they need it? There's still a perception about the safety of spine surgery, of course, and I think we're doing a lot of good work on that. I think many patients are still scared about the pain associated with spine surgery. And I think more than anything else, there's a big fear about the recovery. Many patients ask, how many days will I be laying in bed for? How long will I be using a walker for? And I think all these things together are preventing people who actually need spine surgery to undergo spine surgery. Now, awake spinal fusion, I want to be clear, is a rapid recovery protocol. And the goal of the protocol is not just to giving spinal anesthesia, but the goal of the protocol is to allow patients to recover faster, mobilize quickly with overall less pain. It's a protocol, right? And overall, I think that the awake spinal fusion program has done tremendous amount in terms of making the surgery safer. We know that when you convert from general anesthesia to spinal anesthesia, you've decreased a significant amount of risks associated with surgery. As Krishnan just did a great job presenting previously, that when you add in, for example, the TILA block, which is the block that I like to use, you can see that there's a tremendous reduction in the amount of pain that patients are experiencing. So when you add in the spinal anesthesia along with the TILA block, we're seeing a significant amount of decrease in the amount of pain that these patients are experiencing. But one area where I'm finding that we have to work on a little bit more is the recovery, recovery process. And what I mean by that is this. I think to begin with, as we start evolving this discussion beyond just awake spinal fusion, we have to ask ourselves, what is a rapid recovery in spine surgery? We've done some tremendous amount of work in ERAS and all these different protocols, but ultimately the question is, what is the goal that we're trying to achieve? And in my mind, my goal is that when a patient undergoes spine surgery, and I'm specifically talking about spinal fusion surgery now, lumbar, my goal is to be able to get a same-day discharge within 4 hours after the surgery is completed, discharge the patient with minimal pain meds and certainly minimal opioids, and then get the patient back to return to function as soon as possible. And we've shown how when you just convert from using spinal anesthesia, you get a significant reduction in your length of stay, and you add in the TILA block, you get a significant reduction. There's no question about that awake spinal fusion in itself reduces the discharge time. And now we're at the point where, because of our protocol, we're able to discharge our patients, and we only give them 5 pills of Percocet. So this is a patient over here who just wrote. He texted me, said, I just wanted to let you know that I'm feeling good after my lumbar fusion and only used 4 pills of the oxycodone that were prescribed to me. At this point now, when we discharge our patients after 4 hours, we give them 5 Percocet pills and ask them to just take Motrin and Tylenol. And to be honest with you, it's been incredible because the patients are doing so well. So we are doing a good job in terms of minimizing their pain and minimizing how much narcotics they use. But one area that I've been really interested in is this. Nowadays, with our iPhones and our smartwatches, we're able to monitor the step function. This is a patient who had undergone spine surgery on the Wednesday, so 2 days prior to what you're seeing over here. And she came back and she gave me a snapshot of how many steps that she was doing after a one level T lift. And you can see that there's a little bit dip between Friday and Saturday, but then by almost 7 days post surgery, she's walking about 15,000 steps, which to me is one of the most objective measures of our outcomes over here. We're in the process right now of creating an app where we can basically monitor the steps that people are taking both before and after surgery, including things like velocity as well. So I think that when we start thinking about rapid recovery, beyond just the issues of same-day discharge and beyond the issues of minimizing opioids, we have to start looking more objectively at how we're doing in terms of return to function. I'm really excited that we're going to be able to start using some of this step data in a meaningful way to really measure how quickly we can get patients back to some kind of minimized function. To some degree, we were able to get this return to function, I believe, because we started integrating into our protocol nutrition. There's been a lot of good literature, mainly in orthopedics and the total knee and total hip literature, about the value of nutrition prior to surgery. But we're beginning to see some good papers now that are looking at the value of protein supplements. In this paper in particular, they gave patients essential amino acids prior to surgery, and they measured the cross-sectional area of the paraspinal muscles, and they showed that within 7 days, they are able to see a meaningful increase in the paraspinal muscle cross-sectional area, but also these patients recovered faster too. So there's no question that if you give the patients proper nutrition prior to surgery and it helped to optimize them, their recovery is better. And so what we do now is 1 week prior to surgery, we administer via IV glutathione, which is an amino acid. What that does is helps reduce a lot of the inflammation prior to surgery. We use a nutritional supplement of amino acids from a company called Accelerated Recovery. This is their website over here. This protocol is we give glutathione 1 week prior to surgery, 7 days of the amino acids prior to surgery. We perform an awake spinal fusion, and for 14 days after surgery, we give amino acids, and then for one week after surgery, we do glutathione. And with this now, we're seeing the tremendous results that you're seeing over here. In addition, now, the other area that we're beginning to look at is this. Like I mentioned before, I believe that we're reaching the limits in what we could do in the operating room, and now we've got to start thinking about what we could do prior to the operating room. Nutrition is one area that we focused on. The other area which I'm beginning to focus on now is the issues of fear and anxiety and how that affects outcomes. There is no question that if a patient has a lot of fear and anxiety before surgery, it's going to carry over into what kind of outcomes they have. This is a virtual reality headset from a company called Waver. And what we're beginning to do is give the patients the virtual reality prior to surgery, and it helps sort of take them through the whole surgical procedure. And by doing that, what we're seeing is that patients can anticipate what they can expect the day of surgery, which helps reduce their fear and anxiety. And soon enough, we're going to be able to get to the point where they'll be able to wear virtual reality goggles during surgery. The fact that they're awake obviously gives us that ability to do that. And so then we'll be able to sort of modulate or quote, hack their brain during surgery to help reduce some of their fear and anxiety. It's been shown already in the hand surgery literature that when you do this, you can really tremendously minimize the pain. So at this point now, our awake spinal fusion protocol has evolved. We're at the point now where we're doing preoperative education using virtual reality. We are giving IV infusions as well as nutrition supplements prior to surgery. Of course, we're doing minimally invasive fusions. I do MIS TLIF under spinal anesthesia, and we use the TLIF block as Krishnan mentioned earlier, and we minimize opioids use at this point. At this point now, honestly, many of our patients are just using Motrin and Tylenol. For our laminectomies, we don't give any narcotics. For our fusions, we only give 5 pills. And with that, we're seeing tremendous results over here. And this is what our rapid recovery spine surgery protocol looks like. This is just an example of a patient. This is what she looks like
I
4
had no weak
hours
spinal fusion, and it was.
after surgery.
I had no weak spinal fusion, and it
And then
was.
this is her about a week.
Good. Good. Do you want to walk back and forth for us one more time?
Form the TLIF, transforaminal interbody fusion, interbody lumbar fusion, my back.
And then this is her 2 weeks after surgery.
Workout. Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm 53 years old, and I'm a health visit a long period of time for stand.
Okay. So at this point now, this is where we stand in terms of what we're trying to achieve. We've done about over 300 awake spinal fusions. The majority of our patients are actually going home. Our length of stay now is about 0.5 days. We try to discharge them home within 4 hours because in the United States, in our surgery centers, if a patient stays for more than 4 hours, it doesn't become cost effective, and costs are a big concern for us. So we basically have a protocol set up so that 4 hours after the surgery, they're typically getting ready to go home. About 60% of the patients are able to go home the same day. And at this point now, we're giving our patients only 5 opioid pills, but I think in due time, I'll be able to discharge our lumbar fusions on just Motrin and Tylenol for their pain. So thank you very much for that.